day 2 of the 3-day workshop. So full confession, yesterday might have felt a little light, and that's mainly because we wanted to make sure we laid out the foundations of what we're thinking about. Today's going to be a little bit more heavier. Tomorrow will be even more heavier, but the work you're going to have to do after all this will be the heaviest lift, I promise you. But I'm excited to have Karen and JC on this one. If you don't know, JC is not the technical wizard, kind of like myself. So Karen's going to be here just sharing some notes of what she's seen with a lot of the clients that they work with. If you don't know much about the Heights, they were one of the first, if I'm not mistaken, or one of the most successful franchise models that I've ever seen in the world of marketing. There's a group of digital hackers, digital agency hackers. I've been to their masterminds. I think Chase goes to their commitment summit because he's close by there. A lot of us engage with Heights and a lot of the programs and educational things that they do. They have a great team behind them as well. If you haven't got a chance to meet them, you should definitely say hello. But give us a recap, JC, of yesterday. If today is my first day watching this, and give us the agenda for day 2 as we can kind of have the right expectations for the day.
Yeah, I definitely recommend go back and look at that framework we put together yesterday, guys. For me, again, it all starts with the foundation. The better we can have from a foundational aspect of understanding what we're building. Karen and I are getting ready to build our first custom home, right? And the more you lay the groundwork on what's to expect, the easier it is to scale and to grow there, right? And so there's a framework for success, we believe. And I'm showing this on the screen right here. It has to do with growth, service, operations, our offer. Everything is around this, motivation, people, and what you're committed to. Today, though, we're going to start getting to, like, as Paulson said, the deep stuff, the real stuff that we're going to be working on here. And before I get going here, I want to encourage you guys, right? We have day 2 is going to be all about the product itself. Like, what are we selling? I mentioned this yesterday, but one of the things that you'll find is when you jump inside HighLevel, there are millions and millions of opportunities to serve the world around you. And you are going to quickly get in there and have a paralysis about you. You're going to be deer in the headlights going, oh my goodness, where do I go? Where do I go? Where do I go? And so today we're going to just show you the 8 things that we have focused on in our business and what we serve our clients. And we say, hey guys, just start here. If you can do these 8 elements successfully, everything else, you're just going to compound it, right? But we want to do these few things really, really well. And then tomorrow, we're going to talk about how to sell this stuff, right? So today, Karen is going to lead us in these 8 elements. What we focus on tomorrow is going to be all sales. And make sure you stay tuned, guys. Tomorrow, we have like a little surprise gift for you guys. And so definitely show up on the live. It's going to be hopefully a lot of fun. So here's what we're going to do, guys. We are going to, if my system will work here, right? First off, I just wanted to re-shout out this. HighLevel was super kind enough. Everybody on here, if you're just getting started, 30-day free trial. Jump on this thing. You are going to be so impressed, so excited. They'll put the link somewhere, but you can go to highlevel.com/Karen JC Hite offers. This is a perfect opportunity to get started. Guys, what do we sell? Again, I just mentioned this. When I first started with HighLevel, and really in business as a whole, this is how I felt. I felt like this kid shoving this hose that into my face, and I was just being drowned with all of this type of information. Hopefully, my goal is by the end of this session, you guys have some clarity on the direction to go here. Just right off the bat, though, you guys have seen this on the landing page. HighLevel does a lot of stuff. And so I could easily spend a session talking about each one of these other companies and organization and the very few aspects of what they do. With HighLevel, we could do it all. So I could literally start a training today and we can meet every single day for the next year and probably not cover everything. But one of the biggest mistakes that I see people do when it comes to selling HighLevel is the mismatch of focus. Focused intensity over time. That is how we're going to really execute on what we're going to do here. All right. In fact, there's a cereal. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of this, but a little quote. We're going to keep it simple. We're going to keep it focused.
results oriented, right? I want to go to my clients and I want to sell them something that I can tactically win for them right off the bat. There's so often where you jump in, you serve your clients in some way, and you're not going to get results until down the road. I love SEO. I love selling SEO, but it takes a long time to get results. So we want to get something that's really results driven, that's innovative. I want to go into a business and not just sell them like, oh, I can do that better, but I want to innovate something for my clients, right? And of course, opportunities as well. How do we discover these opportunities? So the question today, and I'm gonna let Karen jump in, is what is your offer? What are you selling? How are you being so specific as humanly possible?
Okay, so my brain is like going in like, just like,
You can
like,
switch spots.
yeah, we're going into like a little bit of a shock because I just went from like Spanish, now I'm going to English. So like, bear with me if some of this stuff is just like coming off in a wrong language. But when we're talking about the offer, by the way, my name is Karen. Quick introduction here. My background was implementing systems for different businesses in the US and LATAM before we moved into like actually learning about HighLevel. So yeah, my life was difficult and then became easier when I found HighLevel 6 years ago. And I wish that I had known about it so many more years ago. But one of the things that I learned through this implementation of systems in general for businesses, right? Which is kind of like what we're doing here. We're gaining efficiencies. We're being able to just solve problems and creating this offer specifically if you're focused in your agency of like, how can I add this component? Maybe you're doing digital marketing and you want to add this component of like helping the businesses that you're supporting and actually being able to close the deals through efficiencies, automations, and all this stuff, right? So you're creating this new offer. We need to understand what the problem is, whether you're a beginner, already experienced in business. If we're not talking about the problem, then we're not able to connect with people, right? And so we need to really become this phrase that I put in here, just to achieve success, you must become obsessed with solving other people's problem. That's 100% what we have learned, whether we're doing digital marketing, whether we're doing an event, like Paulson said, we do a lot of educational programs and in-person events. And if we can understand the problem and be obsessed about what the solutions, what solutions we can present to people, then we're talking the right language. And then we're connecting with the people in a deeper way, right? So when we're talking about what the offer is, we first need to understand what is the problem that they are facing. And I know JC like share over here the list of all of the different tools that HighLevel has to offer. All of these tools are solving a problem. That's why they have a space in the market, right? All of them are trying to focus on. So you could really just focus on like, what is this CRM and pipeline management, that other systems are doing? How do we do it in HighLevel? And just focus on that feature. When we say that the biggest mistake that we can have in the business is just like trying to focus on all these different features, we need to really focus on solving one thing. So if there's one takeaway, if you're thinking about implementing a HighLevel and making an offer that includes it, I would try to like niche down as much as possible, trying to fix one problem and then going and adding more problems to solve, right? So thinking about businesses in general, what are the problems that businesses go through? I just put 6. I know we all go through 1,000. How many problems do we have in our business? Thousands?
A day.
A day? Yeah, probably a day we can have like multiple businesses. But would you say, JC, that these 6 are probably some of the problems that most businesses, no matter the niche or the industry, face?
Rarely will you meet a business that is like, I'm perfect at these 6. And most of the time it's all about, all of these things, again, equal to this idea of growth.
Yeah. So sales and management and follow-up, inefficient processes, reputation management, retention, marketing automation, client experience. These are just a few of the problems that businesses face that you can actually implement HighLevel to solve. I want you to think if there's, we normally give homework, by the end of this, but I want you to start thinking about what is the problem that you're solving right now? If you're already offering HighLevel, what is the problem that you're solving for other businesses? And if you're thinking about implementing HighLevel, this is key. Understanding what is the problem that you can do, that you can solve. Now, another thing that is important when we're identifying the problem is how do we connect with that problem? And that's where the whole story and copywriting and having the mission and vision, comes into play. But there's 3 ways that we have identified that you can connect with this problem. One, from personal experience. So like maybe like in the present, you're personally experiencing this problem and you're trying to focus on figuring out the solution, right? Another one's maybe in the past, you have already solved this. So like now you're coming from a perspective of like, I have already solved this. This is what I can do for you. Or maybe there is a proximity type of connection where you have somebody, maybe my mom experienced this, and like now I'm trying to like figure out the solution and provide this to other moms. That could be an approach, right? So understanding the problem and how well you connect with it. Another thing to think about is like the channel of this connection, right? The goal should always be, as we're talking to people, is being transparent and being honest, right? Like this phrase of the connection builds trust. By connecting with the client, you go from being a salesperson to being part of the team. I know that we have even struggled in our own business of like with that sales approach, that sales mentality, because a lot of in the past, I think like we have seen from, and maybe you can give your perspective, but in the past we have seen people that, oh, they just really just wanted to do the sale. Like they didn't actually want it to help. Do you remember?
100%.
Yeah. And I think even like through the 6 years in business, we had sort of like a mind shift of like, oh, like I don't have to like feel icky about giving an offer and like talking about it, because that's, by the way, the number one reason why you're not always talking about your offer, because you feel like there's like this weird relationship that you have with selling. But if you change that mindset to actually becoming part of the solution, the conversation changes. Then you're not trying to push anybody. You're not feeling like you're kind of like forcing somebody's hand into making a change. You're actually becoming part of the solution, and makes it easier to be able to connect to that problem and then connect to the person, right? So what level are you on? Yesterday, of course, JC talked about his whole background or his perspective on our background in creating this business from scratch, right? And just going through it. My background's a little bit different. So I'm going to share some of those components. And, I'm not a Taylor Swift fan, but if I were to have done this, I could have done the eras of Karen. But we're going to start with like the era one, and back in 2012. And in this is, we are actually graduating from the university where our offices are on. But back then, here in 2012, I got a scholarship actually to come and study in the US. But then part of my thing was I had to go back to Nicaragua to give back. That's the whole approach of the scholarship, right? So I went back with no contacts, having a degree that I obviously, that was amazing. But my first job was $300 a month. Can you imagine making $300 a month? Definitely not in the US, but that's what I made in Nicaragua, starting my first job, my first opportunity. Back then, if I had known of HighLevel, and I don't know the different backgrounds that we have in the call today, I know we have like over, I don't know how many hundreds people connected right now, but if back then I had known about this tool and I had learned about something as I was getting started in my professional career, there's key things that I would have done that I wanted to share with you. So take a screenshot of this if this applies to you. If you have no experience, you're just getting started and you're just learning about HighLevel and how to implement it, learn the tool and focus on getting your first client. That would be like number one. I know that, I think, and maybe yesterday you even share about this whole 3 days of like that digital leap and changing your life, and this whole concept of doing that. It's not so much that, because I think we set up a goal. Do you set up a goal of $1,000? No. Okay. We had set up a goal internally of like, if we can make $1,000, right, of with like HighLevel as part of like the goals for the training, $1,000 is not going to change your life. Maybe, probably not. Right. But building the skills to get to $1,000, that's something you can replicate, to then get $2,000, to get $5,000, $10,000. That's definitely something you can do. Now, here, my focus is the $97 on a recurring basis. If you can get one client, you have cracked the code and you can continue to multiply that. I would also focus on specific offers, like having, for example, social media management, a chat widget for the websites, a newsletter, text campaigns, appointment reminders. Pick a feature here. Like we went back to that Serial framework of like just keeping it simple. Pick one and just really obsess about solving that problem for as many people as possible, and start collecting testimonials. That's another key here. If I were to start again, I would have collected so many testimonials if I knew that was important in the journey. Do you think that that's important?
I think it's huge.
Why?
Yes. Now, I've always said to like get 10 to 20 of them, right? And then keep rolling. I think sometimes people just have an overstack of testimonials and you go too far with anything. But your number one driver of leads, and we'll talk about this tomorrow, should be from from referrals, which leads
Exactly. Exactly. So take a screenshot of this. If you have no experience and you're just getting started in the professional world, this is going to add so much value to you. Now, the next thing that we're going to focus on as we were building our experience, the next level is Karen 2016. This was Karen. Let me just give you a little bit of background. I was working at an agency. I needed to figure out how can I add more value to myself as a professional, even build a side hustle, like start working. Actually, we started it that way, right? Like you remember back in the day, like I started running digital marketing campaigns. I think it was just Facebook at that time. And then we decided, I think yesterday, JC shared a little bit about our story. We decided to start an agency from scratch. And then we were like, okay, this clients, thank goodness we had always had this mentality, I think, of like wanting to grow and not depending on somebody approving the salary or not, right?
So in that phase one, it's really just about the technology. Now you're getting into done for you as you grow your abilities, right? Now it's like, and now you become a dramatically more valuable. So depending on where you're at with this stage, right? So now done for you. So what else can we do? It's not just I'm giving you a tool to do email marketing. I can actually help you with the email marketing, so on and so forth.
And here, something that, again, with HighLevel, something that I would focus at that point that I didn't start until like later on in my professional life is start building content. I don't know how many times did you share yesterday about your YouTube like growth? Like how crazy is that, okay, we just decided to take action in the last month, like literally it's like a hockey, how do you call it? Like a hockey stick, if we had started earlier, hindsight's 2020. I'm telling you, if you're wanting to build your experience, if you're wanting to grow, start building content and start sharing the affiliate link. I don't know if you guys, if you're new to this world, let me just send us a message directly. We'll talk about like how to set that up and how to like take advantage of this, because it's not only what your agency can do for other clients as their service, but also, this passive income type of approach that you can do. I would start testing, offering 2 packages, one at $297, maybe even having a setup of $1,500 with a 2-week onboarding. But the opportunities are endless. This is just a strategy that I would do if I was back then and in the day. And you can also create your snapshot. If you don't know what a snapshot is, also messages, but I'm going to give you a preview. Let's say that you build all these amazing automations that we're going to talk about in a little bit. Imagine just being able to replicate that with like a click. How awesome would that be? I know like back in the day when I was implementing all those systems and I had to do it for client after client after client, when I heard about the snapshots in HighLevel, I was like, what is this? I still cannot believe, Paulson, that you guys are charging $297. This is insane to me. I don't know why people are not like just jumping on board, but all the time, which they are, obviously. Now, next level of experience that we have. This is Karen entrepreneurship, Karen doing events, Karen doing I've gotten experience in the last years, obviously managing clients and building relationships and all this stuff. How can I take advantage of it? Maybe you have your own agency. I think we're more taking this approach even with our own agency, right? Can you talk about that?
Well, I mean, now, just so you know, at Hite, our minimum is $5,000 to work with us, right? And of course, the backbone of that stuff is on all of this automation, and we're stacking other things. But as you get to this level, this expert level, guys, you dramatically start changing your life. 10 clients is $50,000 a month, right? And so this is that level, right? These different phases that you should be focused on. Again, there's these elements that Karen's about to show you. You're going to execute in each one of these. We're just showcasing this journey for you right now when it comes to product.
Yeah. And this is just a way that I would approach this right now. Honestly, with the experience that we've had in building our own agency and helping others build their own agency, we can have that authority of billing, $3,000 per month and just $2,500, creating educational events. You can even opt for your providing technical support if you're actually offering HighLevel as a tool. There's so many awesome businesses out there that are actually providing this, and you can really take advantage of that. So I wanted to just wherever you're at, just provide an overarching strategy that you could apply today. I'm going to talk about more of the features of the system, more of the benefits that we can have in there. So we're going to go into the technical side right now, but don't lose track of the thing that we started talking about in the beginning, right? Of keeping it simple. The more simple you can keep this, the more consistent you can be on that, that's when you actually accomplish things, right? Like that's when you can actually look back and say, oh, okay, like I did this, now let's improve on what I've done. Now there's the pricing psychology that I just wanted to talk about in here, just in case you are not sure how to price this out. And there's some stuff to understand in here. I just added this quote of like, the price is more than just a number, it's a statement about the value of your product. I think this is so true. And we have seen it from like different perspectives. We started as a white label. We went into the franchise model. Then we added a direct branch. Our price has changed in our digital marketing agency in the last 6 years, like different, like depending on the structure, even in our own mastermind, right? Like we have charged $500. We have charged like this much, and it changes. But one thing that I think it's important here to know is that people naturally associate higher prices to like the offer. So like if you're adding value, they will always relate the pricing to what they're getting, right? There's sort of an expectation. If I'm charging more, then if I'm going to the hotel that costs $1,000 a night, well, there's an expectation that I have for that, right? Like maybe they like put the chocolates in the pillow, all this stuff. If I pay like $30 a night, I'm probably going to be pretty good with the bed just being clean, right? There's some value that is attached to how much we pay. And that's very important when we're talking about pricing psychology. Any thoughts here?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. An example here. I remember we were buying a car in Nicaragua because that's where we spent the last 11 years. And this was very interesting that Toyota in there, like you wanted to get that car because you could resell it for a lot more at the end, right? And there's some value even between brands. Like now, it doesn't mean that one is better than the other necessarily. I love Hyundai too. But what was clear in the market is like one has a specific value attached to that. And there's some market even attached to that price, that brand, etc. Right? So like you need to understand the pricing that you're attaching to the pricing that you're attaching to your product has a value, and it's going to open yourself or close some doors when it comes to the market that you are reaching at. Another example in here, this more from like when you're setting up the price for your product, understanding that the value of your product will also be affected by comparing its price to other products in the market. I think this is why it's so important to understand who are my competitors? Who else is offering this? And in a world, like we're in digital marketing, there's so many agencies out there. It's not even funny, right? Like we're all trying to like make it in this world. So like, what is our differentiator? I think this is where levels of service, JC covered that yesterday, is so key, because when we have the same offer, we're all doing digital marketing, we're all offering PPC, SEO. The difference is the value that I'm able to add to what they're already getting, and understanding, right, that your clients have options, and some of them are doing more than you are. Some of them are doing it cheaper. So this is why it's so important to like treat clients and love them, but understand how this pricing component comes into the picture. Lastly, I'm not sure, that like one thing here is like your price reflects the results that your clients should expect, right? If you're sure that HighLevel will help them scale and automate their business, your price should reflect that. If you're charging for something too little, there's such a thing as charging too little, where people are then like, just, like, I wonder if they're actually going to be able to like make things happen. Setting low prices just to close a sale can actually like play in a very bad way in the long-term confidence of the clients. The price with confidence, right? Because you can actually offer real results. That is key. Now, one of our goals, we give the example all the time about when it comes to like pricing and value of China, right? Like when we're talking about Latin America, we have a big goal of like creating jobs. Can you give that example? You're like way better at explaining that.
Well,
you're like, what?
Used to 10 years ago, those of you that are in their 30s, 10 years ago to 15 years ago, the only reason you'd ever go to China is because it had cheap labor, like cheap plastic, right? But today, if you were to, man, I've got the latest technology with the latest iPhone. I mean, it's going to blow it out of the water. I've got the best thing in the world. Where would you go and have that technology produced? It would be Asia, right? Like they have switched now slowly from being just a labor-oriented country to one of the most technologically advanced countries, in the world. And price correlation, and going back to what Karen said, every single time we increase our prices, it dramatically changes everything. My mother-in-law was very specific with our laundry. Well, I don't know what laundry detergent to get. What do? I go to the aisle and I just get whichever one's more expensive because I assume that it's the better one. And she never is dissatisfied with my expensive laundry stuff, right? So we want to set you guys up as we're talking about these packages. Pricing is going to matter a lot for the perception of value that you're giving.
Now, with that said, we just talked about different components, the problem, understanding our connection, right, to that problem and how to solve it, the pricing psychologies, all of these things have to do when we're creating this offer to make sure that this makes sense. Now, do not waste hundreds of hours looking into how to perfectly price this. Again, I want to remind everybody as we're going into the more technical features of this presentation or this training, I want to remind you that the key here is to take action. You can always change the price later on. You can always change the offer. You can always change the things that you're setting up. You will only know if this is making sense if you actually talk to somebody, give the pitch, share the information that you're going to share the value, how you're going to change things and how you're going to change their lives, and see if they take it or not. And then go back and reassess. If they take it, awesome. How can I do it better? If they didn't take it, awesome. How can I do it better? That's the key, right? So I want everybody to be encouraged about when it comes to creating your offer, that at the end of the day, the practice really is what makes perfect. Now, there are thousands of solutions in HighLevel. I don't that list, I don't think it's even updated because that screenshot that I took, I'm pretty sure that they're solving even more things now with more tools that it's not even there. But I'm going to focus on, go ahead.
So let's pause for a quick second before we go into the tech side a little bit. Karen JC talked about the evolution Karen herself went through in the world of marketing, right? They shared the different price points. There was 3 business models they shared, which is the do-it-yourself model, the done-with-you model, and done-for-you model, which basically have 3 different lanes of service delivery. Help me understand where you guys all are. So let's do a quick temperature check. Tell us what kind of a business model that you're at least actively working on or you're interested in between those 3 things. And some of you may do 2 or 3 different combos, right? Can you go back to that slide where you share the Coca-Cola thing?
Yeah.
So if any of you are familiar with this particular concept, this is called the popcorn pricing strategy. So there was a big theater that did a study of something and they had small, medium, large prices. And when you have 3 different options and the top 2 prices are close to each other, typically the customer feels like they game this system. They're like, oh, for $1 more, I can get the biggest basket, right? And what you're doing there is like using price labeling and price tag as a weapon to drive traffic to a certain package. And that's what happens if you don't have a middle package or vice versa. You may want to consider something because now the biggest cup is like, oh, I don't want to spend $7 for a Coca-Cola, right? So there is a system and concept in using price. The third thing they shared is the the positioning of the price. There's no advantage in being in the middle of a price war, right? It's better to undercut the market or overshoot the market, meaning you either want to be the Honda or the Bentley. There's no advantage to be in the middle of any of these business models on pricing. So either go down the business model of like the McDonald's and you're focused on, volume, 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 and you have a certain expectation, or do the VIP white glove kind of a service kind of a thing. And one thing I'll compliment the Heights on is they do a lot of the high ticket stuff in the world of marketing, but the canvas they use is branding. If you ever look at branding the Heights do and the teams do, it's like immaculate branding. And why is that important? It's because it reflects the price. It reflects the expectation. Have you all seen the snapshot guide? I don't think we've even like shared it yet. We will tomorrow or maybe later today. But this thing is like, I'm telling you, it's amazing. But the key is it's the experience and the perception you're creating. So a lot of you, I see a few of you commenting here. Yeah, tell us what kind of business model you're at. Are you doing the do-it-yourself, the done for you, or the done with you? Are you
Yeah.
looking at low ticket, high ticket? Are you looking at, where are you in the world of digital marketing? Go ahead, JC. Were you going to say something?
And you can even, and I would recommend going and watching videos on this popcorn theory because it's a beautiful thing. There's a lot of things in reflection of what you want the customer to buy. So I've coached companies where we want to give that perception, or not perception. They're incredible what they do, but we really want to get that possession of high value, but they don't actually want to sell. When I sell like we have a $15,000 package at Hite, okay? $15,000. I hate selling it because it includes me in the deal, right? But it's what we call an anchor point of value. So the moment I tell you, hey, I've got an $15,000 package, but we only take on a couple clients a year because it involves me, immediately now that's your thought, right? Would you rather pay $15,000, and get me, or would you rather pay $3,000 to get my team? Well, a lot of people would rather pay that $3,000. Well, now that 3,000 looks like a really great deal, where if I would have put that 3,000 compared to a 1 and a 500. So the methodology on the middle number, if it's closer to the higher number, people are going to pick those top two. If it's closer to the smaller number, people are going to pick the bottom two. And so you can, there's a really cool science around this that we've tested a lot. So just to continue that conversation.
Yeah.
I would be curious also in your package. You can just tell me again, this thought process, how much are you charging? How much are you guys charging right now? What we call the ARPA, your average revenue per account across your businesses. Guys, you need to know this number in a deep fashion, depending on your business model. You may want to at Hite, that's one of our core numbers. What is our average revenue per client? Now, our model, we're higher ticket price, lower amount of clients. I'm always going, how do I increase ARPA, right?
Yeah, so a lot of the focus turns into expansion revenue. Your focus is not always client acquisition, where if you're running a volume business, you don't have a lot to expand, so your focus is on sales, sales, sales. There's nothing wrong with either or.
Right.
One has, one is the Rolls Royce with the umbrella on the door, and the other is probably the speedy Honda, right? Like there's value in both. They're both multi-billion dollar companies for a reason. Now, can we also address one more thing before we go into the tech side of this? White labeling versus not white labeling, affiliate stuff versus not affiliate stuff.
You
Like,
just changed the whole presentation, Paulson.
No, this is
I go deep into that.
but this is important because
Yeah, it
if
is.
I need to decide whether do I just uh, what's the difference between being a reseller of a software versus functioning like a software company, right? 'Cause we're inviting people to function like a software company, and white labeling is just an additional bonus to it. But help us understand how you look at this. I mean, both y'all may have different perspectives. I would love to hear that.
Well, I will tell you this, there's benefits of both. And I think you got to look internally to go, what's best for you. So when we launched Hite, we were product people. In fact, today, 100+ employees, we have one salesperson in the company. We are not a sales team. We brand like crazy, as Paulson said, and we believe we're the freaking best at what we do. And so I don't want to be in the sales side. I would much rather white label, not only HighLevel, but I want to partner with people in this HighLevel community that are incredible at sales. They're good talkers, they're good communicators. They understand the psychology of interaction with people, right? So a lot of you watching this, you may want to play that game, that route right there, right? On the flip side, I've seen you can make a lot more money. You're splitting your revenue with someone else, just like anything else, right? So by going direct to consumer, now I can charge a much larger value. So we have decided over the years. We weren't one of the fastest growing white label companies, but we had hundreds and hundreds of clients when it comes to white label. When we switched into a franchise model, we had, was it 101 or 99? I can't remember. We had white label partners under us.
Active clients, yeah.
No, active partners.
Agents, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And within 6 months, we went to 10, but those 10 were 25% more revenue than the others, right? But you got to pick your weapon. I think both are valid. when it comes to HighLevel, I've seen both do it. I think it's just a matter of how you want to operate. And I think where people mess up is aren't true to who they are. They try to be both things, and that's where they mess up. When we go back to those 9 principles, I'm just going to be the fulfillment guy. Let me find someone else to be the growth, right?
Yeah,
I
it
think
reminds
also
me of
finding.
sorry, it reminds me of the rocket fuel book, right? You have to decide
Yeah.
whether you're gonna be the integrator or the, I don't remember, the salesperson, closer. I don't remember what
Yeah.
the other term was. The bubbly person.
The
Yeah.
visionary. Yeah.
The
The
visionary.
visionary, that's right.
You're an
Vis-
integrator.
Yeah. And so the quicker you can get whatever structure you need, when you're small and you're just tiny, you're going to have one person trying to do everything. The quicker you can get to having multiple people owning their product. For me, whether that is a partnership, whether that is a strategic partnership, or whether that is an employee realm, they all can function the same depending on how good you are at each one of those elements.
Love it. Thanks for letting me pause us for a quick second. Karen, let's go into the tech side that you had planned. Seven
Let's
in
do
one
it.
solutions. Yeah.
So some of the people are answering here, guys. $5,000 setup fee, $2,100 a month. I mean, this is perfect. This is what you want to see. This is someone that's probably seasoned. I have 3 tiers: 197, 247, and 497 with Ramesh. Those are elements where a lot of people are going to be geared towards those first 2 packages, right? Because that's going to be the bulk of that pricing. If the pricing was more, 497 and then a 697, where those upper 2 packages were closer together, you're gonna immediately see a shift in where they're buying. So these are good examples. And I love pricing strategies. And so and I've got a lot of experience effing it up like ridiculous. So if you guys just continue to comment, I'll try to jump back in here in a little while on the chat on packaging, because again, I don't know anything about detergent at Walmart. I strictly go on pricing. So many of your clients, and I'm not saying this is a good thing because this is foolish, but as entrepreneurs, we are very foolish. We pay for something, and then at the end of the day, if our business grows, we just feel like we made right decisions. And if it doesn't, we made wrong decisions. They're not going to be as attuned to the details of your doing as what they should be. All right. That's your responsibility to make that happen. Right. But pricing is going to play a huge measure there.
Love it. So what are we gonna sell?
Exactly. Yeah. What are we going to sell? I'm going to show you guys kind of like what we did at Hite to give you an idea of like how you can like package this up to create an offer. But again, if I'm getting started, I would focus on one feature, mastering that, and just because in the beginning, kind of like Karen 2012, it's more about getting the experience and getting to understand the cycle of like that life cycle for the client, and understanding, oh, where do I need to like put more effort, and where do I need to like send that cookie, or where do I need to like, surprise and delight the client outside of like obviously delivering value through your services. In the beginning, it's more about like just getting started, getting out there. What I'm going to share with you guys is kind of like our 7-in-1 solution that we have created with HighLevel. This was back in 2022. So like Paulson came actually to our first mastermind ever. And I remember us presenting on the SaaS testing that we were doing at Hite back in the day. What I would say in terms of pricing, even, this is going to go against the grain of what we have talked.
And then we're going to be done with pricing.
And then we're going to be done with pricing. But what I would say with that is like with HighLevel, I would offer one package. That would be it. I remember Paulson telling me like, we let people do 3 just because we don't want them to do 10. That was like the response that I remember you gave me. I'm like, yeah, like it makes sense. Like I remember us offering that. But let's focus on the actual details of what you're going to include in this package and this offer and this core solution. I'm going to give you an example based on Hite again, the 7 solutions to offer today. The first one's going to focus on including different features, right? And here it depends on, again, what is the problem that you're trying to solve, identifying that. For us, because we have digital marketing service, a digital marketing agency, we were able to like focus on other aspects, solutions that will relate to that component of like getting leads, going through the funnel, capturing them, nurturing them, and then closing them, right, for our clients. So this solution specifically, it's more focused on like following up campaigns. If you can create a benefit, if you can solve their problem on not being efficient, not being able to like reply back messages, like gaining efficiencies through the automations, this would be amazing for any business, right? So when you're packaging, this is one of the solutions, one of the components that we do in the 7-in-1 solution that we have at Hite with HighLevel. Now, here's just an example of one of the campaigns that we have, the nurturing campaigns, and how you can leverage these features of connecting. Again, keeping in mind the levels of service. How can I continue to connect with people, respond to them and whatever they need? This is just an example of that. The second solution that we include in our package is calendar appointments. So this is just appointment confirmations. We work with a lot of home services. And so this allows us to be able to help them with calendar appointment confirmations, internal notifications for people that need to know, like, hey, you are booked in this calendar. If they experience, for example, like no shows, like having a campaign specifically for that, that is super key, because now it doesn't depend on, wait, did the assistant remember to call back that person to get them on the phone again or to get them to schedule the visit again? Not anymore. Now it doesn't matter if they're sick, if they're whatever it's happening, now they can actually be efficient with their business and create the automations that they need for that. So that's another component that we add in our solution. This is solution number 2. It's just an example of what we have inside of our snapshot for our Hite CRM, as we call it, if it's white label. Solution 3 is internal notifications. Here, what we want to do is create efficiency in the team so that nothing is missed. A lead comes in, right? Like they fill out the form, and then the person that is notified, or maybe there's one person that's notified if you're not using any automation, right? Because they're like the owners of the website, they get that notification. But the actual person that needed to be notified, maybe even assigned the lead to through a route robin, because now we have like multiple teammates, was not notified. Well, this is an opportunity as well to benefit these businesses in creating these automations to benefit them with internal communication. So that way everybody is taking care of the leads. And at the end of the day, one thing that we do at Hite, and we try to promote it with every one of our clients, is understanding what is the most important number for your business. If you're clear with that, of what is the key, most important thing that you need to do in the business this quarter, let's say that it's like, we need to generate more revenue. Well, anything that we do that this quarter needs to like be able to support that, and your systems should do too, right? Here's just an example of like an internal notification, things that you can do inside of HighLevel. I'm not going to go too much into the details because we literally have a tech support team to help you guys navigate all this stuff. Is it 24/7? I feel like I get the best attention anytime that I call. So I don't know if I'm just calling during the hours, but we have
We do
You
have
do, right?
24/7, 7 days a week customer service. Yeah.
I mean, that's why you have like how many employees now? Like 1,800 or something like that. Do you cross the
Yeah,
2,000?
we're getting past, I think, 1,600.
There you go.
But mostly 90% of the people are focused on customer service or customer success, or like the the focus is activities for marketers and agency owners to make sure they move the needle forward in however shape or form, which is the cool part. But yeah, so internal notifications,
Yeah.
what else?
Yeah, the next solution 4 is a text message for missed calls. Like this is like one of the first things that I learned when I started using HighLevel, and it's so key in being able to give that return on the investment. If you're charging $97, if you're charging $297 for this, just one client that you save from like going to the competitor, because you are actually be able to send a text message that says, hey, sorry, I'm on a job right now, but I'm happy to book a call, or I'm happy to schedule at your best convenience. Like like now you have conversation AI. I didn't even include it, by the way, in the solutions, but there's so much you can do with that now you don't even need somebody to like go in, oh, we missed a lead, let me go and talk to them. Like literally you have conversational AI inside of all the automations that you can do within HighLevel. Like there's so much opportunities in here to not only text back people that call you that you were not able to answer, but also be able to book those like through that same automation. And here's just an example of what that looks like, right? Just like calling people back, sending a text message, being able to like schedule something out. The next solution that we have, solution 5, is reactivation campaign. This was the second thing I think that I learned going into HighLevel. I was like, wow, that's a no-brainer. How many of us have collected emails, information, contacts over the years? Like just like thousands of people that we have engaged. And if you haven't, by the way, today's the day to start, because you're missing out so much by not collecting this information inside of a CRM like HighLevel. But then what do you do with that? What if they actually maybe you were at the moment, you were just selling a product and it was a one-time thing. you can still save all that information. And then this is why data is so important, because today, and branding as a whole, right? Today you're doing this, tomorrow you might be doing something else, but the database that you're building, this is something that's going to go with you no matter the business that you do. And you can quickly reactivate them by sending a message. I'm going to show you an example in here. We send a trigger message of like, hey, we're gonna do this offer. Black Friday is coming. It's like one of the best opportunities to do something like this. We're just reviving all those leads that maybe just bought a long time ago. Hey, we have an offer. This is gonna be this. Ready to do you want to hear more? Yes. And then we go in through that whole, and as you can see in here, it's a whole tree of like, did they answer yes? Did they want to get it? Then they get it. If they know they didn't answer, then there's so many opportunities in here, and you can go as detailed as possible inside of HighLevel. I don't think I have seen a tool that allows you to be able to not only have this level of like connection with the prospect, but also talk to them in whatever channel you need, like text message, send them a voicemail drop. There's so many opportunities to create personalized experiences for these prospects that you're just trying to revive. Solution 6 is going to be more focused on the chat widget. I'm actually working with a couple of agencies. I saw that somebody commented of like, how can I actually take advantage of one feature, and how can I build a strategy on top of HighLevel for my business? I'm working with a couple of businesses. One of them, he's an agency owner. They're at $3 million. They're focused on a very specific niche. They have over 200 clients. His focus has been on more SEO, website creation. He has not gone into PPC or Facebook. And we were just talking about what are the ways that he can continue to grow without having to add more teammates to his business, right? Like he wants to, he's trying to be very lean, but he already has a lot of opportunities. So we were exploring, what if I go into like white labeling PPC or Facebook or all this stuff and just adding those services? Well, that was going to add a little bit more complexity. And then we were just talking about like, what if I can just offer all the clients that I have today a chat widget solution, and I can incorporate an AI into it. And I just sell it at $97, knowing that I have 250 clients that are paying for hosting, paying for their website because I have a recurring offer. All those, he's not one of those like just $15,000, $30,000 websites. He's like, his core offer is on a recurring basis for the website. So adding this component of just a simple upsell that is set it once, and it's pretty much there to just like continue working, because maybe you check it, maybe you change the messaging every once in a while, that the opportunity for increase in that revenue, increasing ARPA per client, but the opportunity on recurring revenue for that agency meant over $35,000 in recurring revenue just by that simple update. So what I'm trying to say is like, I'm bringing all the solutions because for our clients, this makes sense. And by the way, I'm going to talk about the onboarding process a little bit on how it's not like we just go in of like 7 solutions, let's start month 1. But I just want you guys to understand the opportunities that you have with just one feature and just focusing on that and adding value to your clients. Here's an example of that chat widget. I did that one in Spanish just because I didn't want to build another chat widget. So, but this is the power of HighLevel, right? You can do it in whatever language you want. You can personalize it, put your picture, make it look awesome. The solution 7 is reputation management. So many clients, if you truly believe that you're adding value through your service and that people have an amazing experience with you, why are you not sharing it more? This is one of the things that, like I feel like us all as business owners, we're so focused on the day-to-day and we're so overwhelmed with so many tasks that we have, right? That that's one of the last things that we do. One of the last things that we focus on of like, how can I get more people to talk about the amazing experience that they have? Well, guess what happens when I want to go to a restaurant? The first thing that I'm going to go is see what are the reviews? What are other people saying about their experience with them? And that's going to guide my opinion if I want to go to that restaurant or not. Same thing happens with every other business, right? So this is actually the most important thing to do. In most businesses, especially home services, anybody that you're supporting, they really do not focus on that because they're already trying to put all these other fires and be present for those clients and give them that amazing experience. But what if we could actually help them get all those reviews so that way their authority can go up, their SEO can improve? This is another solution that I would say just this alone can be that differentiator, and that can be like your first client if you haven't started offering HighLevel fully. Here's an example on how easy it is. They have a whole opportunity, like a reputation tab where you can see like the requests, the overview, the widgets, and so on. Now, I've added this link in here, the highdigital.com/services/CRM, just for you guys to see. This is kind of like what we have done just to like share our client with our clients. This is what High CRM is. We do say, by the way, like we were talking about white labeling all this stuff, we do call it High CRM, but we do say it's powered by HighLevel just because I know that they're gonna find out, like everybody in the industry. And if they find out, I personally want to make sure they know that my focus is not invested in like developing a platform and the development of that, but more in the service. So like we just say powered by HighLevel. Our key differentiator here, this is important, right? Of like, what makes me different than any other person that is offering HighLevel as a white label or whatever, is how I treat my clients, is the service, is the communication. So that's the one thing that we can have the same landing page, but if I truly love my clients and I focus on that problem, becoming part of the solution and actually providing that through benefits and systems that they can take even when they're not with me, that's the key, right? So my recommendation, 3 recommendations that I have is identify one of the 3 main pillars. JC talked about the 9 pillars in our Scale with Stability framework yesterday. The 3 main pillars that you need to focus on when you're serving businesses with HighLevel is growth, operations, and service. Those are the 3 main things that I would say you have to focus on. So identify when you're talking to clients, which one of these, and even inside of my own business, if I want to implement HighLevel, which one of these 3 I need to actually focus on first because it's the main pain point that I have today. Apply one of the 7 solutions because all of these solutions that I presented can be applicable to those 3 main services, to those 3 main pillars. And then just, if you're selling it for other people, just replicate results and then focus on the next pillar. That's my number 1 recommendation. Now, before we end, I think this is super important when it comes to when you're selling HighLevel. We helped so many people, so many agencies like implement HighLevel and then like be able to provide the service for other people. Even through our digital marketing agency, understanding what is a good onboarding process. Here are some
Karen,
key.
before
ahead.
we go into the onboarding process,
Yeah,
let's
go ahead.
let's pause for a quick second. I want to know, out of the 7 solution concepts, 7
Yeah.
offers, 7 foot in the door offers, I want to know which one kind of excited you. So if you're watching this, give us some comments. I'm paying it. I've got my phone here pulled up.
I'm gonna
What
put
are
them in
out of
there.
the 7, which one like excites you? Is it WhatsApp, email campaigns? Is it appointment confirmations, calendars, missed call text back reactivation campaigns, chat widgets, maybe AI stuff, reputation management? Now, as you guys are typing in and telling us which one you're the most excited about, one of the things that I'll tell you is if you ever walked into a restaurant, this is the best way I can explain the number 1 mistake that gets made in SaaS by agency
Mhm.
owners, okay? If you ever walked into a restaurant and let's say you're being served spaghetti, just to keep it simple. You're going in there for spaghetti, that's what you want, and that's your goal is to get spaghetti. But you go there and you ask the cook, "Hey, what do you have for today?" And they explain to you, "I've got pasta, marinara sauce, uh, beef meatballs, salt, pepper, and basil and whatever hell else you put on some spaghetti, right?" If that's how they explain the offer to you, you're more than likely are not gonna experience the meal. Now, in reality, is the offer and the delivery the same thing? Yes. But the difference is perception of the offer. So, as Karen is explaining these ingredients to you, doesn't mean you show these ingredients as its own label to the customers. Your customers should have their own branded solutions, right? So, shout out to Rob Bailey. Rob Bailey was one of the first ones to brand text campaigns as database reactivations. He added
Mhm.
a sexy name to it. I mean, in reality, Jay Abraham said, yeah, we should back in the day send people more messages if they're already a business owner. Dan
Yeah.
Kennedy back in the day said, yes, if they're existing message, existing customers, we should send them newsletters and whatever. The principle of sending messages to your existing customers is old and
Yeah.
ancient, right? I mean, it's almost biblical, right? It's like back in the day, that's what they all did. So pay attention to how your menus are perceived. If I go in there and you're like, yeah, I've got beef, I've got spaghetti, I've got chicken piccata, I got enchiladas. I
Yeah.
know as a customer, that's what I'm gonna get. Don't go in there and tell them I have tortilla, I have, beans and cheese and all the stuff. And that's what a lot of times agency owners do. And Karen and I talked about this, if I remember, at some of the masterminds. It's like when you ask agency owners what do they do for a living, they explain how they deliver their fulfillment. Oh, I do
Yeah.
SEO, Facebook ads, PPC, and XYZ. Instead of saying I generate appointments for HVAC companies,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
There's a difference. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I think that's actually so key. And that's why this slide, guys, like just go and check how we have positioned this in our own like page. If you see, I'd see our an AI powered lead management software. And then that helps you increase your marketing team productivity and attract customers. Like it's very easy. It's very simple that anybody in home services can like understand. AI power is just actually a buzzword right now because even if they're not interested in artificial intelligence or AI, like they're intrigued by it. It's like what everybody's trying to like push. And so like we have to incorporate that. I love how HighLevel actually introduces, what you guys do, because with all of those like thousands of solutions that you can provide through the system, you really just focus on three things: helping people capture information, nurture them, and close them, right? Those three things is something that any business owner can actually relate to. And so it makes it super simple. And you applied that same framework to events, to anything that you guys do. And I love that.
And you guys are commenting here in the chat widgets, reputation management. I mean, I have seen some powerful high-level companies that, and you may have mentioned this already, but literally they do just that one thing, and that's all they sell, and they charge $100 for it, and they do that one free. Again, just to reiterate, it doesn't mean you have to do all 7 of these. These are just 7 ones you can start with. Like, we do a lot of work in the roofing industry, and one of the things in this industry, especially for roofers that are $1 million or less, the owner is typically they're working. They never answer the call. Hey, I just help roofers. When you don't answer, sometimes you can't answer the phone. Well, what happens when you don't answer the phone? Oh, well, they call someone else. Well, what if we created an automated text campaign where as soon as they call you and you don't answer it, here's what happens? Oh, that'd be huge. That's what I do. Like it can be it doesn't have to be, complex. So I love when you guys are thinking, we just do the chat widget, we just do the appointment confirmations, we just do this, so on and so forth. Then you can upsell, cross-sell all day long, once they become a client.
Love it.
Awesome.
So onboarding.
Let's talk about onboarding. I'm just going to do it very briefly here. I didn't include like a big roadmap, for the onboarding, but there's key things that you need to include when it comes to onboarding your clients. Clear expectations will save you so much time and effort when it comes to like clients forget what they sign up for. I mean, clients forget that they fill out a form first off, right? Like that's how fast things go. And so it's really important to set the expectations for the first 90 days and what's ongoing service. Define the areas of responsibility for both parties. You are both in this whole point of how to manage your business, how do you grow it, how to like gain efficiencies, whatever the product is. And I'll just give you a quick example in here of defining the areas of opportunities. I cannot move to implement, for example, if you're focusing on the chat widget, I cannot include that unless you have given me the access, or I'm just going to give you the code. Like, what is the responsibility that we have and how soon are we going to move into the next step? Identifying necessary information to get started. If you want me to include this chat widget inside of your website, you need to give me access. Set goals for each stage and define success metrics. What does success mean when we're implementing whatever feature it is that you're focusing on inside of HighLevel? That definition of success and both parties understanding that is so key, because then that It's just kind of like what John Maxwell said, like we need to have the difficult conversations from the beginning, kind of like preemptively retaining our clients and all the retention. We were just doing a training on this for agencies, but retention really starts in your sales process from how you set up the expectations, how you onboard them so they have clear ideas and you're in alignment.
I've heard people say on that framework is that the sale's not even done until 90 days after the sale is done, right? You're still in the sales process. The cool thing is once that 90 days over, your churn with HighLevel, it'll disappear almost. I mean, you should have really low churn once they're on it and hooked. It's the only drug I'd recommend people to be.
Traditionally, like the agencies have closers that are account executives, they're sales-oriented guys and gals. And then you have the account managers who are kind of like the integrators, and there's always like this dance between the two. What in the world? You sold this $5,000 package? What did you promise them? Is what the internal team is always wondering. And the sales guys are like, yeah, we do digital marketing. Of course, we can sell more stuff. That's what we do. So there's always this dance. But to both of their points, retention starts early in the sales process, and sales don't end until well into the retention process. It's a fine balance and crossover that you have to really get. Now, question for you. What's the difference between the onboarding experience for someone who is on a $97 package versus one of your maybe $50,000 franchise packages or more? I don't know what your prices are, but you get my question.
You want the real answer or the answer
The
people
real
like?
answer. We need the real answer. That's why we do
It
what
depends
we
on where
do.
you're at in the business. Guys, if you're just getting started, you should be treating that $97 like they're paying you $1 billion because they are. Not cash from them, but they're teaching you how to manage everyone else. And to be frank, those $97 ones, sometimes can be a bigger pain than the $15,000 ones, just so we're clear.
Yep.
But there's a few elements here, right? Like you're really trying to get your tech. If your long-term vision is $97, you're really trying to take, what I do is I want to give a ridiculous customer service. Anytime someone calls me and message me, I'm personally helping them. But every time I get that question, I'm now trying to figure out how do I automate or systemize the solution, right? Where a lot of people mess up is they don't want that upfront communication. Oh, it's $97. Why are you bothering me? You just go look it up. Just go whatever, right? It's the wrong mentality. And by the way, you see this really hands forth inside HighLevel. Sean, I've seen him answer millions and millions and millions of questions personally, but I guarantee you on the back end, and I don't know this, he's going, team, why are they asking this question? Why are we getting this question? We need to make this easier, more approachable, more whatever, right? So backing up here, when you're first getting started, I am giving hands-on as much time as possible for each and every one, even though it's not a done for you or done with you type of solution. As you grow and scale, every client be easing off that more and more because you're learning how to utilize HighLevel, how to set the right expectations, how to filter your freaking clients and to be like, all right, I'm not selling to this guy. This is going to be an issue. You should go to somebody else's HighLevel account, and work with them. Right. And so you should go work with the Heights. They can maybe mess with you. Right. So, but as you're going, the longevity of it, you guys that are seasoned, the 97, you should not be really dealing with it all, or you should have customer support people, managing the support. As you get to those 15,000 and on up, the more time you're going to be involved. I mean, at Height, our $5,000 clients, I don't even know who they are. Like that is a small package to me. Right. But this is several years of going at it.
Yeah. One thing I noticed, and I know you guys talked about this in your mastermind years ago, is if there's only two business models. There's the speed model and there's a quality model. However we name it, that's just literally all it comes down to in every industry. There's no difference. Now, a lot of people, you choose the speed model and you are trying to build this assembly line of a McDonald's, but you over focus on the menu to make it a fine steak. And that's a problem with overshooting the product. And it's a big mistake that happens with high levelers. You're trying to elevate the product, while your focus should be volume, 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 because you're focused on speed, speed, speed. Now the opposite happens where you're like, you know what, I'm gonna charge $10,000, $15,000 for my automation solution. Your focus should be the quality of what you're delivering, not trying to figure out how to onboard 30 clients in the same day, right? These are two different things that you have to pay attention in what you're solving. Help us understand on the communication side of all this, Karen, on the onboarding process. What is the difference of all these?
So you mean specifically on like depending on what type of client you have, or can you
Either way, like what does communication look like for onboarding in general? Whether they're, oriented on solving for speed or solving for quality.
Yeah. I like to build processes that are scalable, right? And so like when we're talking about onboarding processes, I don't like to, like, it depends on like who you're serving, right? And so like defining that from the beginning, I think it's really important. And with the onboarding process, I would say establishing like what is exactly the channel that best works for you to give the best experience possible. I know a lot of people that are like, hey, I only talk to my clients through Slack because that is the best way that I can have all of my communication in there and I can see like what messages I have pending. I have automations in there in place. Awesome. I know that like I was actually talking to an agency that is also like doing like $3 million, and he only provides, he doesn't have an onboarding process or a communication process where you talk to your clients, every week or every month, which was surprising to me because their churn is so low. It's not even funny. But what has worked for them is having a chat system. And so like the clients just going to the chat and he has like a few reps that just serve every client. They're not specifically attached to a portfolio of clients. So I think it really depends on what works best for you to give the best experience to the client. And based on, like JC mentioned, what is the client expectation based on the price they're paying, the offer that you're providing. And so I think just like being in alignment is super important. One thing that I think it's key is in that onboarding process, being able to define, and this was the last point that I had in here, being able to define, what are the escalation channels, the things that we're going to do when there's some sort of dissatisfaction or some sort of like deeper communication, right? John Maxwell was telling us, like we have a mentorship with him, but he was telling us in that mentorship that even with hires, for example, like you have to address this from the beginning. Like in their onboarding process for a new hire, you have to say, we're going to go through difficult conversations. And I just want you to know that I'm going to be like quick to address those because I want you to be part of this culture, XYZ. Same thing goes with clients, hey, like if you have, for example, and I saw somebody was talking about, like what happens if there's delays on the A2P, like specifics that happens, in the day-to-day with the actual onboarding process for the client and getting started to do the next things. Addressing those from the beginning. Hey, we have noticed, and having those like frameworks when you're doing de-escalation calls of like the felt fine, right? Like those like frameworks of like, hey, like I know there's a lot of people, I've seen clients feel that we're moving slow in this. What I have found after supplying, the service of chat widget to so many clients that shows authority to is that XYZ. Would it be okay if we can move into like this, so having those conversations and just addressing them from the beginning, I think it's really important in that onboarding process. Okay.
I love that. Could you also address, I guess, the ugly side of onboarding and client management? I mean, I don't know about you, but back in my day, I had two agencies, and some of these clients are DMing and texting at 10 p.m. and they think we're just working for them 24/7. Like, like the boundaries. Let's just talk about the boundaries. What are the boundaries we should set so then I don't feel like, I built a job inside my agency,
We
which
never
was
have
not.
that clients.
I just want to set I've had young agencies come to me almost arrogantly frustrated with clients messaging them at night, but also just like the next call being like, I'm struggling with money, right? Like the reality is that clients are going to, there's going to be some punk clients. And in the beginning, you're going to have to tolerate a certain amount sometimes. It's just, unfortunately, it's a part of it. I recommend always just putting yourself in their shoes, right? Like there's nobody that wants to message you at midnight. They're having their own problems. It helps me just understand and relate. Now, here's the deal. As you're growing, as you're scaling, and this is like another version of this, but I'm going to just give it to you. A lot of business owners, they get more clients and they immediately like compound, right? So we call them stages when we're coaching agencies. So they get to 30 clients, like, what do I got to grow by hiring more people, and they keep expanding. What I recommend is solidifying each stage. I got 30 clients. I can't take on any more. I'm going to have to hire someone. Okay, fire clients. Get rid of the clients you don't want. Bring on the clients you do. Get rid of the cheap clients and bring on the big clients. Get that stage of your business where it is like, I want to triple this. This is my perfect portfolio. Again, too many people, just because they're too busy, they could have tight margins. They could have no profit. They could be stressed at night. They could be blah, blah, blah. Then adding another stage is typically not going to eliminate any of that. You got to solidify that stage, right? And so, I put up with a lot of junk, and I'm a naturally nice guy. Like, I'm a people pleaser. So when someone calls me at night, I just feel the need to do it. There's nothing wrong with that per se. Again, as you scale, you can't triple that. I can't 10x that. You got to filter those out and create some barriers. I do recommend those of you that are people pleasers just setting that expectation at the beginning. Hey, I'm going to help with this, but man, if there's any way we could keep it to the day, that would be amazing. And then eventually you'll just tell them, hey, this is our last month together. And you'd be surprised how many people very quickly change, especially if you're adding a ton of value. So John Maxwell, one of our mentors, we paid him $500,000 in the last 16 months. I mean, like a stoop. You think I ever texted him out of nowhere? No, I respected his time like crazy. So the more value, perceived value, whether it be true or not, the more in control you are of people's time and energy and all that jazz.
Yeah. See, that's the weak part about SaaS, especially in local businesses, is because it's low ticket, sometimes you attract someone who is geared towards low ticket, right? And they're not as, I guess, what's the right way to say this? They're not as matured in their business journey just yet. They don't have the business acumen often until they develop that. And that's kind of the downside of sometimes low ticket SaaS. But either way, it's important that even as HighLevel, we present these trials and tribulations to you. So you are really looking at the model that makes sense for you. There's a right way to do it all.
And I would again, the more you get into those, I think a lot of people mess up. They try to get into those bigger packages. I can do it all when they're charging the small. You got to separate those, right? So if you're doing 97, you're selling the chat widget. Okay, well, that's a lot more simplistic, right?
Yeah.
That is very black and white. Here's what I do. Hey, we're selling the text to call or whatever the crap may be. I'm selling the specific widget. That's going to be a lot more simplified than the calls at night going, hey, I sent this email and there wasn't, my conversion rate wasn't good. What the crap's going on? Like, hold up, right? So
Yeah.
make sure you're in those, get in your lane.
I love that. What else do we need to learn for day 2?
I was just gonna mention that the onboarding process, I like to be very visual when it comes to onboarding. So the more you can present a plan to people, the better. If you're doing implementation for a HighLevel, when we did that for agencies, we divided in weeks just so they understood what to get. And then we just obviously had weekly communications. We had some reporting in there. It could also be just sending the slides, and just hey, this is kind of the process that we mapped out. But the more visual you can make it, the better. That would be the last thing that we have to share. And then, by the way,
and the reason you're visual is because know your audience, right? A lot of times you guys are working with other entrepreneurs who are high-level crazy thinkers all over the place. We don't want to know the details.
Yes.
We make it visual because we're trying to get a kindergartner to pay attention, the presentation. You guys have seen this if you went out and sold to entrepreneurs. It's just part of it.
It's part of it. But yeah, so this is today 2. We just cover what has to come into place into this offer. We gave you an example of what our offer is when it comes to the CRM and how we're providing that to our clients. Hopefully this added value to you guys as you're thinking about your own offer or maybe honing into it. Tomorrow, we're going to go into how do you actually sell this? All the strategies that we have used from beginning when we were first getting started, it was a different strategy than now, after 6 years of being in business. And we're going to go and share all of those. So depending if you're Karen 2012, 2016, 21, whatever Taylor Swift you are and in her eras, this is going to be very focused on all of that, all of the strategies that we use in our journey. And
my goal is to put those down into stages, right?
Yeah.
Again, the different errors and what I would do in each one. More and you've kind of seen this as a rhythm today,
Mhm.
it's going to be more about what I tell you to stop doing than what I tell you to start doing almost. And I need you to do one or two things really, really well. Even when it comes to sales, I need you to focus in. Focused intensity over time is what creates unstoppable momentum, right?
Absolutely. So we're really excited. And then tomorrow, by the way, it's a surprise gift. We're going to give two gifts out, right? Well, one really, really good one that Paulson like kind of like introduced. We're going to give you guys our number one strategy for virtual events. So this is going to be the snapshot that we use today to help us navigate the webinars, the evergreen webinar type of thing, like from beginning, from when the lead comes in, what messaging you're going to have, all the email templates. This is going to be like, we have literally been working on this for years. So we're really excited to share that with you guys. And we're sharing that on the Spanish too. So really excited
Awesome.
for that.
And just side note, you do have to jump into a trial or be an existing customer of High
Yes.
Level to be entered into the, I guess, the raffle or however we distribute that out. So just make sure you go to this particular link, which is gohighlevel.com/Karen JC Hite offers ES. I think EN is for English.
Yeah, and it's for
But
English. Yeah.
yeah, so either way, if you want
For
the
what?
English one, just go with EN. But we would love for you to be part of the High Level family, and this does affiliate you with the Heights, and they'll provide additional resources as well as they usually do. But day three tomorrow is going to be all around sales, so we're going to unpack the different journeys that JC and Karen and their whole team has gone through, as they're not really a sales heavy organization today, but that doesn't mean they're not great at sales. They've went through so many different evolvement of sales, right? They have really a B2B approach now with partnerships and JVs as the main thing. And it's really interesting, actually. I've got the chance to learn all about it and actually met several people that are part of their programs and stuff and always had great things to say. But thanks for day two. It was quite a lot in my
It
opinion,
was
and we
quite a
went
lot.
pretty heavy. Yeah, I love it.
Love it. Awesome, guys. Well, I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Make sure you show up. And if there's any way we can serve you, we've been getting a ton of chats. We love this stuff. Like, this is fun for us. And a big part of our mission is serving people. So any questions, thoughts, ideas, prayer requests, you name it. Shoot Karen and I are DM on Facebook or Instagram, and we'll try to point you in the right direction.
All right,
Thank
bye for now. We'll see you tomorrow. Two sessions. Remember, there's a Spanish version of this workshop and there's an English version. Karen starts the Spanish around 12 o'clock Eastern. That's New York
you.
time for those of you that are international. And then 2 o'clock Eastern for the English version. I have to remember that one.
Right.
But we'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now. Tomorrow's last day, so make sure you
Bye.
catch up on replays, homeworks, all of that stuff. So we'll have a great session tomorrow. Bye for now.
Bye, guys.